Hi, welcome to Jeff's Garage. I'm Jeff Lombardo, and I thought I would take this opportunity to talk about bike setup and some of the important things you need to know about tech inspection prior to signing up for any track day. So let's get started. And before we talk about bike setup, one and probably the most important thing you need to be aware of is the general state of health that your motorcycle is in prior to bringing it to the track. It's crucially important that you do not have any mechanical problems or electrical problems that you're aware of, obviously. And if you have, make sure that they are properly addressed by a professional mechanic before you come to a track day. Because when you participate in a track day at any racetrack with any club, you will be pushing that motorcycle to the extreme. And when you do that, it puts a great deal of strain on the engine and all the other various parts in the motorcycle. So if it is not at a general state of good health, that could cause a failure, some sort of mechanical failure. And we all understand the risks of riding on the racetrack, and you always take the chance of falling and hurting yourself just by the way you're riding. So we don't want to add in the factor of mechanical failure to that equation because it's dangerous enough as it is. So with that said, please make certain that your motorcycle is in a general state of good health prior to you signing up to any track day. Okay, I'm going to start with the thing that I feel is the most important aspect of your motorcycle when you're ready to bring it to the track day. And that would be the tires. Tires are so important, and there are so many aspects of a tire which can make or break your day. So, let's just have a good understanding of what's necessary with a tire on your motorcycle to track day. The tire should have at least 80% of its tread left, because you don't want to bring a tire that's only got 50%. Sure, that's fine for the street if it's a DOT approved tire, because on the street you're not going to wear it out that quickly. But on the racetrack, you're running lower tire pressures, your rubber will heat up faster, so ultimately the tire will wear out quickly. And if you have a tire that starts at 50%, you're going to ruin the tire by the end of the day to the point where it's beyond its manufacturing safety level. And you don't want to do that because, once again, you don't want to add any more risk into your riding environment. So 80%, that's the kind of tread wear you should have left on your tire when you bring it to the racetrack, both front and rear. So really pay attention to that. You can look at the depth of the tread, and pretty much remember what it was like new. And if you have problems understanding this, please take it to somebody who does understand it, at a local motorcycle shop or even a friend who knows about tires. If you decide to use slicks, most of the slicks come with little wear holes in the tire, so you can see how far down you've gone. And on a slick, when the hole is pretty much gone, that means that the tire is pretty much gone. So I wouldn't use that because most of the good rubber has been worn off, and you will not have the traction necessary to make the turns that you need to make at the track. So with that said, let's move on to the next factor of tires, and that's the pressure, the pounds per square inch that you want to have in your tire, both tires, front and rear, at the track day. I personally run 30 pounds per square inch in the rear and 30 pounds per square inch in the front, because I feel that gives me a good balance between softness, because I want to increase my contact patch, but it's not too low that the tire will wear out super quickly. Every single tire manufacturer, whether it's Dunlop, Pirelli, Michelin, whoever you choose to buy your tires from, they all have recommended pounds per square inch settings. And I'm not talking about the PSI that's listed on the DOT tire. That is for street riding only. But if you contact them and you say, I'm going to a track day and I would like your recommendations on what pounds per square inch to put in the front and rear tire, so that I can get the best amount of traction with that particular tire. And they will be very forthright with their information. I'm not going to give it to you here because a lot of it's a personal opinion about how much air to put in a tire. And also, I think you should learn about your own tire. I don't know every tire. I've never ridden I haven't ridden on every tire, so I'm not an expert about every particular tire. So I would contact a manufacturer or a distributor, because they might know, and get the proper pounds per square inch setting for that tire to be used on the racetrack. The next thing in terms of importance are your brakes. Brakes are extremely important. You have a high performance machine here that accelerates tremendously well. So you need to have brakes that will stop the motorcycle equally as well as you can accelerate the motorcycle. So it's very important that you make certain that your brakes are in good working order. And probably the most important thing that the tech inspector will look at when you're going through tech inspection are your brake pads. And your brake pads come with what is called a sort of a wear channel in the middle of the media. And the tech inspector will make certain that that channel has a decent amount of depth left. Because, once again, same thing with tires. As you wear them out quickly on the racetrack, you wear your brake pads out a lot quicker on the racetrack than you do on the street. So we want to make certain that it's safe and you will have the braking ability that you need to brake fast and be safe. So make certain prior to coming to the racetrack that you have some depth left in your brake pad. And if you're uncertain, take it to a motorcycle shop and ask a professional, or just buy yourself an extra set of brake pads and keep them in your toolbox. So if you do come to the racetrack and the tech inspector says, I'm sorry that you can't ride, and it's due to the fact that your brake pads are worn out, you'll have an extra set of brake pads in your toolbox and you can pop them in and everything will be fine. So, and second, the rotors. Rotors last a long time. Generally, you won't have a concern with those. But if you have 100,000 miles on your motorcycle, you certainly want to replace them. If you have racing rotors, you want to have them, thoroughly inspected because they have a tendency to be full floating. And just make certain that they're in good working order so that you can brake well and not have any issues with your braking all day long and have a good time. To complete the brake inspection, the tech inspector will examine the rear brakes, and in his examination he will use the same criteria as he did to examine the front brakes. First, he will check the brake pads to make certain that they have not passed their wear marks and there's plenty of life to last the remainder of the day. Then he will check the brake pressures, and he will do this by pressing on the brake lever, which will give him an indication of the pressure in the lines. He will also examine the lines themselves to make certain that there are no apparent leaks anywhere in the system. And lastly, he will look at the fluid levels, both front and rear, to make certain that there is ample fluid for the system to work properly. After the tech inspector inspects your brake pads and brake rotors, he's most likely going to inspect your brake lever. And what he's looking for is good, solid pressure in your brake lines. And by squeezing the brake lever, this will give him an indication of whether or not the braking system is in good working order. The next thing that the tech inspector is going to look at is going to be your chain and sprockets. First, he's going to look at your chain. and your chain is going to need to be relatively new. I mean, not going to be brand new, but you certainly don't want a 10-year-old chain. You know, you don't want any rust on your chain, because rust means that it's been neglected, and neglected chains can be dangerous. He's going to make certain that it's properly lubed. And then most importantly, he's going to examine the sag or flex in the chain. And he will do that by either using his toe or his finger to push up on this area of the chain and see how it moves. And a properly adjusted chain will have anywhere from 1 inch to 1.5 inches of flex. And that's what he's going to look for, because if it has less, it's too tight, and if it has more, obviously it's too loose. And both of those situations can lead to be dangerous. So that's going to be important. So before you bring it to the track, make sure you check that as well. And in terms of sprockets, you want to basically have full, unworn down teeth on both the rear and the front sprocket. Obviously, the tech inspector cannot see the front sprocket, so it's going to be left up to you to make certain that it's in good working order and it has pretty much entire teeth left on it, because you don't want any teeth wear on a sprocket. When the teeth are wearing out, that's usually an indication that the chain is no good anymore and it needs to be replaced. Or there's something misaligned in your chain and sprocket situation, so you're going to want to address that. So take a peek at those things before you come to the racetrack, so if you do discover any problems, you can fix them at home and you don't have to waste your time in the morning prior to getting on the track, and also you don't want to have the tech inspector tell you that there's something wrong that you need to fix there. After the tires and mechanical parts have been inspected by the tech inspector, he's most likely going to do what's called a general overlook of your motorcycle. And what he's going to do then is he's going to look at each one of the components of the bike, the body work, to make certain that it is firmly attached, because remember, you're going to be traveling at high speed, and things at high speed need to be very tight and firmly attached to the frame. He's going to examine things like the seat and make certain the seat is attached, the rear cowl, and the gas tank is firmly attached. He's going to check the clip-on handlebars to make certain that they're firmly attached. He's going to grab a good handful of exhaust system and shake it pretty hard to make certain that that's not loose, because that's an important part of your motorcycle and you certainly wouldn't want it to fall off as you're going down the back straight. And then he'll look at the windshield, and then he'll also examine the undercarriage to make certain that there are no fluid leaks coming from your engine case, because that can prove to be very dangerous for you and all the other riders on the racetrack. And if all of that goes well, you are good to go and you can go on the racetrack and have a great day.